Hello, welcome to NOLA Stamping. I'm Barb Baldwin, and today we're going to be making a fun little card with a couple of birds from the Feathered Friends stamp set. And then we're featuring the Weekend Adventures paper. So it comes with 6 different designs, so it's double-sided, and you get 4 sheets of each design and both sides. So let's go ahead and start cutting. So we're going to need some white cardstock. So I'm cutting a piece for the interior card sentiment that's 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. And then for the square, for the little birds, that's 2 1/4 by 2 1/4 inches. So you can just cut that off of the spare that's left, off of the white cardstock. And then I'm using some craft cardstock for the card base. It's a little flimsier, but I think that with all the other things that we're going to be putting on the card, that'll make it a little more sturdy, so it works out pretty good. So we're just going to need to cut a piece that's 5 1/2 inches by 8 1/2 inches, and then go ahead and score that at 4 1/4 inches, and that'll fold down to that note card size. So let's go ahead and take the tree paper from the Weekend Adventures, and I'm cutting a slice that's 4 1/4 inches, and then I'm just going to slice 1-inch strips. So because we're going to need 3 of those that are 1 inch each, like for the width, and then 4 1/4 inch tall. And then for that blue paper, that's like the enamel pots and stuff that they have, I'm going to cut a piece that's 4 1/4 inches. And then we're going to need slices that are 1 1/4 inch, so just like 1/4 of an inch larger than those trees. And then we're going to need a piece that's just a little bit bigger than that square, so it just needs to be 1/4 inch, so it should be 2 1/2 inches by 2 1/2 inches. And then I'm just going to slice all the way down across and make a 1 1/2 inch strip with that buffalo plaid. Okay, so that's all the parts and pieces, so let's go ahead and get to stamping. So this has a little bit of stamping on it. I'm using the Feathered Friends stamp set, and it's got a bunch of pieces and parts, which I think are really kind of neat. So I'm going to go ahead and use the Cajun craze to stamp like the cardinal birds. I'm using the pecan pie to stamp the little branch that they're sitting on, and then I'm using mossy meadow to stamp the leaves, and I'm 2nd generation stamping those leaves. So what I do is I stamp first in the 1st generation, and then stamp again without re-inking my stamp for that 2nd generation. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the interior sentiment. I'm gonna stamp from the tag that was like an online exclusive for last month. I just really love that sentiment. Consider this a paper hug. And then we're going to 2nd generation stamp again one of the single birds from the Feathered Friends stamp set. And we're just going to go ahead and put it in the lower right-hand corner. So there is one other piece of stamping, but I did it last weekend. So I got the new, it's like a mass sentiment sort of thing. So you stamp it once and then run it through your die cut machine, and then it's got like all of these different sentiments and stuff. So like I went ahead and stamped a bunch of those on a bunch of different kinds of paper and using a couple of colors. And so then I have just like a stash of those ready to go whenever I need like a certain sentiment for something. Okay, so let's go back to the birds, and I'm just going to show you a fun coloring technique that comes out really nicely, but it doesn't take too much time. So we're going to grab some color pencils. It only takes about 4 colored pencils. So if you want to go ahead and grab the basic gray, real red, Cajun craze, Daffodil Delight, and the blender pen. So for the little bird on the inside, I'm just going to use the gray and just accent the shadows and a little bit on that, just to keep everything really light on that interior sentiment bird. So go ahead and grab the blender pen and just sort of smooth out those shadows a little bit. If you like the look of the way the pencil lines are, leave it alone, but otherwise it's just a great way to smooth out any of those like rough edges. So for the front cardinals, I went through and used the Real Red and Cajun Craze. And so I'm going to go ahead and use that blender pen on those. And I left stripes on the cardinals' bellies because it's a really fun technique to go ahead and afterwards, after it's already been sort of like gone through with the blender pen, if you use your pencil and go through it, it sort of like makes the pencil lines sort of ooze together, but then it still leaves the impression of the pencil lines. So it looks like everything's still been colored, penciled, but it's just a kind of neat effect that you can put on those birds. Okay, after that's all done, after the coloring is done, we're just going to put everything together. So go ahead and put some adhesive on the back of the birds and attach it to the square that we cut out of the blue Weekend Adventure, like that enamel pot stuff. And then we're going to put adhesive on the backs of those trees and center them try to get them to the center of those blue enamel strips. And you're just going to do that for each one of them. So you've got all three set up that way. And then we're going to go ahead and use the tape runner and adhere that interior card sentiment panel to the inside of that craft card base. And then we're going to take those strips and put them over on the right hand side. And we're going to leave about a 1/4 inch in between each one of those. So I'm eyeballing it because I live dangerously. You can always use a ruler to space yours out. But I feel like, if it's not exactly a 1/4 of an inch, like that's fine. I think it looks great that way. Okay, so let's go ahead and grab that buffalo plaid strip, and then I'm just going to dovetail the edge. So you just use your scissors and snip up a little bit up the center, and then go in from each side, making a little tail. And then I just like to put the little tag on top just to give it a little bit of space. And then I use my bone folder to just sort of make it pop out a little bit. And then to make it pop out a lot, I use a couple of like mini Stampin' Dimensionals on the edges of the tag. But because of the extra paper size, it'll be fine if you just use regular adhesive on the other side of it. And so since my birds are on a nice little rectangle, I'm going to go ahead and use up the edges of my sides of the bigger Stampin' Dimensionals. And I'm going to use those on the edges of the card just to make sure that card always pops up, just so that there's a little bit of dimension looking at the front of that card. Okay, so now it's just a couple embellishments. So there's that strip that I did from those mass sentiments a couple weekends ago that I showed you, that do all those like die cuts. So that's I just found a little strip that says lots of love, and I thought it looked really cute above the birds right there. And then I'm using some ombre dots, resin dots. The middle blue really goes well with those with that enamel, the blue from the Weekend Adventures paper. So I thought that I would use those up a little bit. And I love doing odd numbers of the bling. And I just love how it comes out and it really pulls that blue together from that Weekend Adventures paper. Well, thanks for making this card along with me. I hope you made it or made it your own. And don't forget to stay crafty.